The machine had never read above 80. They were not prepared for 92. The examiner tapped the crystal twice, standard protocol when the result seemed wrong. It was not wrong. The number held. Dark violet. 92% darkness affinity. In the silence that followed, Cyan did not look at the crystal. He already knew. The Royal Academy selected its students on one criterion: raw attribute score. Every noble family sent their children. Every child hoped for 60. 70 meant something. 80 was the record. One student 40 years ago once celebrated for a generation. Cyan had cleared the entrance exam in the top bracket without appearing to try. The proctors had noted it with mild interest. Children of powerful families often surprised early. They had no framework for what the attribute chamber was about to tell them. He had walked in wearing the dark navy junior uniform, silver hair unremarkable, expression flat. He had walked in as the Duke's youngest, the one they called incompetent. He walked out as something the Academy's records had no name for yet. But that was later. First the line. 40 students ahead of him, each one taking their place on the assessment circle. Each crystal lit in range blue, green, the occasional red of fire affinity. Cranz went fourth. 68. Gold trim. Senior track. He smiled at the crowd. He looked at Cyan as he stepped down. The look said, "Your turn, little brother." Cyan filed the look under irrelevant and moved to his position in the line. The circle was carved into the chamber floor, ancient sigils older than the dynasty. He had stood here before, as a grown man, as the Empire's deadliest weapon. He had declined to be assessed then. Too much information for the wrong people. Standing here as a 10-year-old, he allowed one practical thought. This will be inconvenient. His name was called. He stepped forward onto the circle. The crystal registered his contact and began its cycle. Every student watched. Cranz watched with the certainty of someone expecting comedy. The crystal moved through its spectrum, the standard sweep to affinity signature. Then it stopped. A darkness. And the reading climbed past 60, past 70, past the comfortable range where most students lived, past 80, past the record, past every boundary drawn around what was possible. 92. Dark violet. A color the crystal had no established protocol for. The examiner's stylus stopped moving. The chamber went completely silent. Cyan looked at the number the way a man reviews a report he already memorized. The examiner cleared his throat and said there must be a calibration error. There is no error. The voice was a child's with a much older tone. The examiner ran the calibration sequence. The crystal read 92 again. Behind him, Cranz's expression passed through mockery into something he had never felt. The Duke's youngest. The useless one. The boy no one bothered to assess until now. 92. Darkness. Unprecedented. The examiner wrote it with a different pen. He stepped off the circle and returned to his place in line. Room unanswered. The remaining students took their assessments in a silence that did not entirely recover. Word reached the senior faculty before the session ended. Then it reached the headmaster. Then it reached a man in a gray coat not officially present at the academy. By dinner, every senior knew. By morning, every noble house in the capital would. Cranz found him in the East Courtyard 2 days later. He had brought an audience. The audience was the point. With witnesses, a challenge could not be quietly declined. "I want to see 92 in practice," Cranz said. The machine malfunctioned. Cyan looked at him with the unhurried attention of someone noting a weather pattern. He said, "All right." 2 words. No performance. No hesitation. No visible concern. The audience settled. A proctor appeared at the edge, the Academy's safety protocol. Cranz opened with a fire burst, high heat, designed to overwhelm before a counter. Against a child with no combat record, it should have ended in the first exchange. Cyan sidestepped it in a single movement. The footwork was technically flawless. Not impressive for a child. Impossible for a child. 2 observers saw different things. The first category, most of the crowd saw a lucky dodge. The second, a proctor and one senior, saw something else entirely. Cyan did not counter. He waited. This was information for those who could read it. Cranz escalated through 3 techniques. Each one redirected, absorbed, not where it aimed. By the 4th exchange, Cranz was no longer performing for the crowd. He was working. By the 6th exchange, his breathing changed. The gap was not where he expected. Cyan had not used his darkness once. Movement and timing alone. The proctor would note, approximately 40% of actual capability. 8th exchange, Cyan allowed a graze. Calculated. Visible to no one. The graze served a purpose. It gave Cranz something to interpret as progress. False hope is a more useful strategic tool than comprehensive dominance. Cyan had learned this in a different life, at a cost unrelated to duels. 10th exchange. One movement. Cranz face down on the courtyard stone. Not injured. Not humiliated beyond recovery. Precisely calibrated to deliver the minimum necessary point. The courtyard was completely silent. Cranz stood. The contempt was gone. What replaced it was honest. Cyan turned and walked back toward the dormitory wing without addressing the crowd. The proctor's report. Execution inconsistent with age and training. Headmaster read it twice. The Duke received a copy by private courier the same evening. In his study, reading the report, Duke Wallace Vert sat very still. He had a second son he had never seen. He understood this was his error. Cyan sat in his room that night, Knox coiled at the window. He reviewed the day with the clinical attention of an operative completing a debrief. Assets deployed. Movement and timing only. Darkness affinity. Not revealed. Position established. Capable, not threatening. Sufficient to remove Cranz as a near-term problem. Knox asked what comes next. Cyan looked at the ceiling. The plan extended past it. The academy was not the destination. It was a position in a longer sequence. He had a list that preceded the academy by a lifetime. They would hear about the duel. They would begin to reassess him. That was the intended effect. Recognition, the kind that precedes recalculation. He had been invisible for 10 years of his first life. The invisibility served. Now he required something different. A reputation precisely calibrated to be useful. 92. A duel won clean. A face that showed nothing. The academy would keep talking. He would let it. Subscribe. This arc is only Cyan's first move. The list is 17 names long. The Empire has not begun to understand what it created or what returned. He had learned. Reputation was a weapon, and like all weapons, required calibration. Too much too fast creates fear, and fear produces unpredictable responses. Too little produces nothing. The calibration was the craft. The 92 had been necessary. The duel had been the demonstration. Now came the interval where others talked and he did not correct them. He moved through the academy at the pace of someone with no visible agenda. He attended lectures. He submitted exercises at the expected standard, competent, unremarkable. The gap between the crystal's reading and his daily performance was the point. It produced confusion in those watching that was more useful than clarity. Cranz did not approach again. Data, what the duel cost his model of himself. The senior from the back row found reasons to be in adjacent corridors. Cyan noted him without acknowledging him. Too early for that contact to be useful. The proctor who filed the report requested a private meeting. One question. Where did you train? I read extensively. The proctor did not believe this. Knox found this funny. Knox found most human institutional responses funny. 3 weeks in, a letter sealed with a crest Cyan recognized from the list. Not from the list. From an associate. Conducting quiet research. He read it twice, filed it, and did not respond for 4 days. The non-response was the response. It suggested he was not impressed and not concerned. This was accurate. He was neither. The second name required a different approach than the first. The first had required visibility. The second required the opposite. He walked the academy grounds at dusk, running the sequence, position, approach, timing. The academy gave him the first tool. 92, now known in every noble house. The duel gave him the second, a reputation calibrated at capable, ceiling concealed. The Duke's reassessment. His own house now held a different understanding of him. He needed the second name's network. The academy held 3 connected students. He had already identified them. He was not in a hurry. Patience was the discipline. The Empire would not know what it had sent back until the sequence was complete.